silver piping, strode down the center corridor saying, "The express will be leaving immediately." Less than a minute later, a steam whistle sounded, and with a slight jolt, the carriage began to move. Since there was little to see through the wide window, at least not clearly, Dekkard studied, as best he could in the dim light, the wooden paneling, a dark stained cherry rather than the yellow cedar or even the older black walnut. "I think the paneling in this carriage is the new cherry, most likely from Dowry Land's Jareem Sar sold to Goldoran Ironway. He'll end up losing everything in the long run, and I wouldn't care in the slightest, except that it wouldn't be fair to Mael. At the year-end ball, he did say that she was likely running the lands better than he could." "He believed it. I could sense that," replied Averill. "For her sake, I hope he was right. But he's been wrong about more than a few things, like getting together with Palafox and Schmitz." "Exactly, and I have the feeling that that trio has something else planned." "No doubt connected to Ulrich and the Sinclair shipbuilding. Speaking of those two, do you think Ulrich might have been the one behind that story in the Tribune?" "Our most honorable former premier, who likely ordered the assassination of his devoted former aide to keep anyone from tying corporation aid to the new Narratorists? How could you possibly believe that?" Deckard's voice dripped with sardonicism. "I don't feel that sorry for Jaime Mins, not after the times he tried to get others to kill you, and is funneling explosives to the new Narratorists. But still, he did all of Ulrich's dirty work, and Ulrich or one of his cronies just disposed of him like that. And no one's even looking at Ulrich." "Guard Captain Trujillo is, but there's no hard evidence," Deckard pointed out. "Just like with Lamar and DeCaro's deaths, I still wonder about how much Jens Sigrin was involved in DeCaro's death." Thinking of the Craft Party political coordinator for the Garlock district, Deckard couldn't help but shake his head. "I wasn't the one who schemed to make me counselor instead of him. That was Gretna Harl, and I didn't even know about it. Jens had to know that." "I'm not sure that will make him any happier. I don't like it that you had to use him to organize tomorrow's breakfast meeting with all the guildmeisters." "What else could we do? We don't have much choice, not with so little time, especially since he's the advisory committee's representative in Garlock, in addition to being the Craft Party coordinator." "I still wish there had been another way without involving him." Averill frowned. "I'll be carrying my knives, and so will you. All the time now. I did bring my personal truncheon in case it appears necessary." He smiled wryly. "It may be that the safest place I'll be is at Plainfields on Findy afternoon." "It was kind of Emilio and Patriana to invite us for an early dinner." "I suspect he wants to hear about the Landor counselors we both know. Patriana may not miss his being a counselor, but I suspect he does at times." After a short silence, Averill said, "How do you think Ninka and Emeralda will get along?" "Without us there, you mean? They'll do fine. Ninka represents your sister, and she's enough of an empath that she can sense if something's troubling Emeralda. And Emeralda's direct without being overbearing. If you want to worry about something, worry about whether we can find a decent house in the right place." Deckard shook his head. "I just hope that the property legalist that Namor Dashara recommended understands our particular situation." "Our limitations, you mean?" "I know your parents gave you that personal bond, but I don't want you using it all, even if we do have to buy something in Garlock because I'm a counselor." "Stop feeling guilty. Part of the reason they sent it was because I married a man whom they could brag about, rather than avoid talking about." "As in," Deckard continued in an archly haughty tone, imitating an arrogant Landor, "Averill did marry a counselor of the 66, not quite the same as a Landor heir, but given that she's an empath, she did quite well." Averill tried, and failed, to hide a sardonically amused smile. "You did that rather well. Almost like Cliven." Deckard winced. Averill laughed, then leaned over and kissed his cheek. Chapter 2. Just before the first morning bell, Deckard and Averill left their second-floor room at the Ritter's Inn and started down the wide staircase, the heavy maroon carpeting on the steps muffling the sound of their boots. Deckard hadn't slept well after waking up in the middle of the night from another nightmare about the shelling of the council office building. At least the nightmares are getting less frequent. With that thought, he looked out over the lobby, but didn't yet see Yen.